more than 90% of the team sits out of India.
And even with the AI coming in, it wouldn't change. AI is just going to aid you in helping you decide things faster.
Does a product manager grow in his career, and what things should he learn or know about?
Right? I couldn't wrap my head around it, but the reality is he was a doctor. And he said, no, I wasn't enjoying it so much. So I wanted to do something else. I wanted to work in tech. So he became a product manager at a... When it comes to GCCs, what they're looking for in product managers in India, I think, is the ability to communicate very well. And that's, I think, a very, very important parameter, because if you're able to communicate well, you will be able to put across your ideas clearly, you'll be able to identify problem statements and get the buy-in from larger stakeholders. And when it comes to stakeholders, you will be working with the global stakeholder. So that means you will have to be great at cross-functional relationships, right? You should be able to have ability to understand the problem statement that they have and then solve for them. And the third aspect that I believe is the understanding of the technology landscape, right? When the global GCC comes in, they are working on a slightly larger technology infrastructures, and you will be able to pick up a lot of those things. And that's something that would help a product manager. And that is what GCCs are looking for.
I see the trend changing also, unlike earlier where now the GCCs don't set up just as a backend office in India. Now they are an entire setup where the entire management team is being moved to India. So the entire org setup is here. So earlier the team used to be very divided. Now 90%, more than 90% of the team sits out of India. Now practically they operate like a startup, because everything from ideation to customer research to deployment, everything happens in India. So I think that's a big change. That is a very good change also happening, and it provides a lot of opportunities for upcoming product managers, because GCCs hire a lot of product managers, because we have a lot of tech members also, and usually it's like a 20-to-1 ratio, 20 developers or tech people have one product manager. So they are hiring more than 2,000, 3,000 engineers here. So imagine the number of talent they would require. What do you feel about how the landscape of ownership and how the product manager's role is going to change?
Yeah. I think from an ownership perspective, because an ownership fundamentally comes in from understanding the problem, right? And I think it might take some time for product managers to understand the global problems setting out of India. But once they understand the problems thoroughly, deeply, I think that becomes a huge edge. And the second point here is that the ownership is fundamentally very important, because you will have to create products with the global team. So that means you need to have very, very high ownership to make sure that the vision, the product vision that you have is getting translated into a superior execution.
Product management has been there since long now. It's been almost 15 years that this has been a fad career. So, but what do you think now in this age, how does a product manager grow in his career, and what things should he learn or know about? Any thoughts on that?
I think at a very fundamental level, what I believe is there are 4 things that they need to focus on. One is what to build, right? And what to build comes from understanding the problem, understanding the users, understanding the ecosystem. The second aspect is to design a solution, right? And what I mean by design is working with different teams to find the ideal solution. And the third aspect is execution, right? And the execution is mostly done with engineering teams and multiple other folks, where you take the design problem and a solution into a execution, right? Where the focus is a lot more on delivery. And the fourth aspect is, I would say, is the go-to market. Like, how do you take it to the market? And then how do you get feedback from the market so that you can go back into the designing, right? If these 4 aspects are very critical for product manager, what I believe is that when you transition, when you start your career, you most probably start as an analyst or as an associate product manager. And here I would say the first thing that you have to focus on is the executional skills. So that means work with engineers, figure out, understand what are they building, how are they building it, how can you help them, right? And as you progress, and once you have a great control over the execution, working with different teams and getting the product out, I think a PM and SPM will start focusing more on the the problem definition, the problem designing part of things, because you look at, because by then you understand the landscape a lot more, right? You know that what needs solving and what is going to give you the highest return on investment from a product perspective, right? And I would say as you go senior and senior, which is as you move into director roles or head of product or VP, I think the focus is more on the strategic side of things, which is what to build, who to build it for, and how do you take the feedback loop and improve the product continuously, right? And also managing multiple stakeholders who are all executing different products and creating a cohesive vision. So I would say this is what it would be. And from a progression perspective, if you learn these 4 skills, which is what to build, how to design that solution, how to execute that solution as a product, and finally go to market and get feedback, I think these are the 4 skills that would exist in spite of what would happen to the landscape, right? And even with the AI coming in, it wouldn't change. AI is just going to aid you in helping you decide things faster.
Yeah, that's right. I think people get scared of AI. I think AI will help you in the aspects that you lack in, because many people, I believe, are strong in one or other aspect. Like when I started, I came from a development background. I started as a technical product manager. Then I learned more about marketing and growth product management. And then I expanded my horizon to understand different aspects of product management. And I had to learn through all of that. So now with AI coming in, that gets short-circuited very fast. Now you don't have to sit and do learning that much. Now, you have tools that will help you do that very quickly. So I think, and the roles which are opening up in companies like the American airline companies are opening up here. There are fast fashion companies opening up here, and every company has different kind of product management roles out there. So based on your interest, if you are more technical, you can apply to more technical roles, technical companies if you want. If you're interested in more growth related roles, you can apply to these fashion brands where you will get exposure to more growth and more customer oriented roles. So there are a lot of openings out there. It's just a matter of finding them and making yourself equipped enough to apply to those roles. And in fact, I would suggest that AI is at the best point where you can use that and apply to these companies based on that. And it just helps you faster. Now, earlier when you used to, for basic example, when you had to make a CV, 5 years back, you had to browse through all the job descriptions and then figure out what do I make. Now you can get it as a prompt. I'm not saying that you should use a prompt, but at least it gives you a general idea of where to go ahead and how to apply for a job.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think this is something that happened a couple of weeks back, and I've been testing it out. But like the GPT has something called a deep research.
Yeah.
And what would have taken me at least a month to look at least 200, 500 sources to get the information, it's doing this in few minutes. And the output that is coming in is almost 200 pages, right? And it takes a lot of time to learn and understand. But the reality is the time taken to do research has shortened significantly, right? And that's something that I believe that AI is going to be a huge enabler in terms of building products better, faster, and more importantly, in a much bigger scale.
Yeah, many juniors ask me that now PRDs can be made through, say, prompting, right?
Yeah.
So you type in a problem statement and gives you an output, but people don't realize that that's a very generic output that a GPT or a Claude will give you. But then you are working with multinational companies which have very specific workflows and which work towards a very specific outcome, which usually your AI modules won't have.
Yeah.
Business logic is where you will come in. You will have to talk to the customers. You will have to figure out which solution that works for your company, and that I don't think AI will reach there anytime soon, and human will always be there as a barrier between AI and the company. So you should think of, I think, AI as your helper rather than enemy in this sense.
So you're absolutely right. I think product management is one of the most easily explainable, accessible career, right? It is extremely hard once you get into it. But from an outside, it looks very rosy. Like you're just a guy who's building products, working with different teams, telling them what to do, and everything looks rosy, right? But the product management in action and product management that is sold is slightly different. And I think from a skill perspective, I think curiosity is very critical. That you have to be inherently curious, right? Curious in terms of how users are using the product, curiosity in terms of identifying the problem, curiosity in terms of where the trends are moving. The second aspect is the whole working with different stakeholders. Product management, if you're a product manager, right, you have 0 people reporting into you. That's the reality, right? From outside, it looks like you have a huge engineering team, you have marketing team, you have sales team, all at your disposal. The reality is nobody is reporting into you, right? So the whole point of influencing the people is more critical than literally anything else, right? You have to influence, you have to get them to buy into the idea, buy into the product vision. If they are not, then they would be working on something else, right? So it's very critical that the whole working with cross-functional stakeholders, getting them to influence them is very important. And the third aspect is, I would say, and it is extremely hard, you have to be ready to be disappointed every day, right? Because things don't go the way you want it to be, and you don't have too much control over it. And that's something that you have to be disappointed. But if you're someone who loves building products, if you're someone who loves identifying problems, designing solutions, think about what can be the variations and stuff, I think it's an amazing field to be. And so I think those are the 3 things that I would say are very critical. But I was also thinking, right, I have in the last few years, I have seen people who were architects becoming product managers. I've seen people who were in marketing, in sales, in finance become product managers. And very recently, I met someone who was actually a doctor who became product manager, right? I couldn't wrap my head around it, but the reality is he was a doctor. And he said, no, I wasn't enjoying it so much, so I wanted to do something else. I wanted to work in tech. So he became a product manager at a medical tech company.
The thing is, I feel that in every department, right? So if you know, every department is solving a problem. Like marketing is solving a problem of going to market. Sales is solving a problem of selling and revenue. And every department has inefficiencies. For example, like you want to take a marketing campaign live, there are 10 hoops you have to jump through, get the creative ready, get the website ready. Now, if you can optimize solving those problems more effectively, and you can think of a framework that, if I do this and this, then this becomes 10 times faster, that's product management for you. Similarly, for sales, you have to talk to customers, you have to make a list of all the customers, make sure you sell to them. And if you can optimize that process and make sure that you can, build a tool for it and optimize it and sell it, that's all product management is for you. So I feel that every department, people coming from different departments will have expertise in something or another, which is very crucial to product management because it involves everything. It involves finding a problem, because if you're working in a department, you already have 10 problems that that need to be solved. Now it's on you, if you are willing to take an extra step of taking an effort of talking to tech to get a solution out of it, making sure it's the best solution out there and the most viable solution, because you can't build something which costs 10 times the cost and it doesn't provide you any revenue, right? So it's all about optimizing all of those. And like you said, people management, you need to keep everyone happy. You need to talk to everyone has requirements. When you are as a product manager, the sales team talks to you, the marketing team talks to you, the business talks to you, and everyone has a problem, they go to the product team. So you need to understand prioritization. According to me, if you know how to prioritize each problem and optimize the best solution for it, that's all.
I absolutely agree with you. Absolutely agree with you. And I think it's, if you take my journey, right? I started off my journey as a business person who specialized in marketing, right? Worked with a lot of clients in a consulting setup. And then I started liking design a lot more. So I actually moved into UX design. And then I became a product manager. So that means fundamentally, by working in different departments, domains, it gave me an understanding of the design aspect, which is critical for product builders, business aspect and marketing aspect, which is very critical for taking the product to market. So I think it's actually very natural that you specialize in whatever you want, but product management could be a great bridge for taking what you know and leveraging it to build great products.
If you want to get into this as a different department, if you want to get into this, I think the best thing would be to, shadow a product manager for like a few months.
Yeah.
Once you start shadowing, you realize that they are not doing anything special. It's just about being very focused on all areas rather than being focused in one area. By being focused, I don't mean that you need to do everything end to end, but you need to understand every process end to end.
Right.
As long as you understand every process end to end, I think anyone can get into product management.
Absolutely.
And nowadays you get that opportunity pretty easily. You can always shadow people. You can always get mentorship. There are a lot of programs out there where you can, get people to talk to you, and it's an easy way to get it.
When it comes to GCCs, I think there are 3-4 important skill sets that are required when it comes to what GCCs look for. I think the first thing here is cross-functional collaboration. And this is not at a local level, but this is at a global level. So that means you get to work with some of the largest teams. You get to work across different regions. And then fundamentally, there's an opportunity to work closely with them and learn from different teams across different regions. The second aspect is from a product building perspective. Most of the product was being built for India, for the local market. But right now, due to GCCs building products for the world from India, I think as product leaders, product managers, it actually helps us build products for the world, right? Sitting out of India.
Yeah.
And the third aspect is the ability to scale up on technology, because you get exposed to the larger tech stack that the global teams are working on, and it helps you significantly improve your tech skills.
I think it's changing. Earlier, how the roles used to be structured is product management used to be just another role in India. But now, we have an example, one of the major healthcare providers in US, they are setting up their shop grounds up in India. So it's like a new role being created, a new org structure being created. So you get more responsibility, you get to interact with more people in the team. And the projects that are done are just not, the side projects, they are main projects that have actual revenue impact. And you get to own the project end to end. So you will not only be doing the research, but also talking to stakeholders and getting it out for delivery, and which is changing a lot.